Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame and Cinnamon Sugar, and this is the recap review for Queen Sugar. I was like, sugar, wait a minute. Yeah, I think it's because I had this in my ear, and I was like, did I say Queen Sugar twice? Nah, I said Cinnamon Sugar, and then I said Queen Sugar. But anyway, y'all, excuse me. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If it's not, I really do appreciate you stopping by. Spend a little time over here so that we can discuss this show. Let's get into it. So it started out with Ralph Angel and Darla getting ready for the day. She putting the baby down. True looking good. That baby is so gorgeous. Like I can't I don't know. I be having baby fever a little bit sometimes. I be like, man, if I don't go somewhere and sit down, if I don't go somewhere and sit down, ooh, child, I really had it yesterday. I don't know what that was about. I was like, no, let me stop. But anyway, so they're getting ready for the day, and we see Ralph Angel. He has this scowl on his face. He's very upset because of the eviction that Miss Perthena ended up getting. And he's definitely in his feelings. Darla has tried to encourage him to go forward and to trust that the co-op is going to work. And in his mind, he feel like, okay, why? I mean, it didn't work this time, and we ain't got no money to help nobody. Like, she's a proud woman. We couldn't even help her to stay at her house. We couldn't even help this woman to stay at her own house. We had to help her move out, and that's it. Like, he's feeling like so big of a failure right now. And Darla, like I said, she keeps trying to encourage him. So we got to see if the process is going to work for them or work against them at some point, because, or work against them even further, so to speak, because a lot of things are not going in their favor right now. It's been really sad. Kiki and Micah met up for a little while alongside his teacher, and the teacher was, he was happy, so to speak, that he ended up selling his piece. But the NFT people, they really just are looking at you like, okay, you did what you did, but at the same time, you need to be mindful about what you're putting out there, what you are allowing people to see, because it indeed is a representation of yourself. So, yeah, despite the fact that he made some good bank, he still needs to be more mindful of the things that he is submitting for these people to then come back to him and be like, hey, and they celebrating that he won, so to speak, a situation that he, came up from selling certain things that qualify as NFTs. So anyway, after the teacher went on about their business, Kiki and Michael were talking, and so she was like, okay, so what you got going on? You know what I'm saying? Are you and him together? Because y'all know that the picture that he ended up having, it was a picture of him and the guy that was his roommate slash friend. And there was a connection. So I was like, so is she sensing something, or have they talked? Like, wait a minute, have some things been dropped or what? So, it's kind of obvious that, they have not talked about it. But at the same time, she's like, I mean, it just is what it is. I'm cool, whatever you doing, whatever you got going on, I'm not gonna judge you. Like, if that's the case. And so he was like, nah, that's just my friend. We're in the same fraternity. He cool, that's it. And so, she was like, okay then. So, what you got going on? And so he like, man, what is this even leading to? Because all these questions though, like, what is going on? And so she was like, I'm just trying to figure out what you're going on. I've been, known to be an amazing wingman. And so, what's going on? And then people to this day still can't believe that she dated him, because he's the son of a famous basketball player. So he was just like, oh, okay, so that's what it is. And so she was like, look, I am not starstruck. That's pretty much what she was saying. Like, it ain't had nothing to do with that. It wasn't no clout situation. If she had to tell the story, he wouldn't have been able to make it in St. Joe without her, which is true. But so they walking and talking, and they're having a good little time. They having a good little moment. So Violet is trying to take Vi's Pies national, and Darla is along for the ride. She has been doing so much when it comes to Vi's Pies and the farm. So she's right next to her. So she ended up having to put off a meeting that she was supposed to have because of Parthena getting kicked out. And so they were helping there and be there with her and all of that. And so the person she ended up meeting up with, they basically met up with her just to say, I'm retiring, so I can't help you right now with what you want me to help you with. And so she looking like, okay, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come all the way over here. Congratulations on your retirement and all that, but that still ain't got nothing to do with what I'm trying to do. So we gonna have to get you to talking about how I can start this distribution type situation, like what I need to do in order to get distribution going. And so he was like, golly, you can't take no for an answer. You can't take nothing. Like I turned you down and you still won't take no for an answer. And so they looking like, no, ain't nobody got time for that. We got stuff we got to do. So she basically said, you gonna take a slice of pie and you gonna start telling me what I need to do in order to do this distribution. And so he was like, it's gonna take more than that. So anyway, Darla was like, okay, we're gonna give you a slice of whatever your favorite pie is now, and then 2 whole pies for you to take home with you. And so they looking like, all right, so y'all, excuse me. Y'all know how I be doing. Y'all know what's going on with me. Those of y'all who check in with me every day, y'all know what's going on. I have ignorant neighbors that live above me, and I barely get sleep. That's why I'm looking half dead right now. So anyway, y'all, yeah. So he's gonna walk her through some steps that she can take to do what she need to do. So then we see, I don't know why I can't think of her name right now. Nova and her boyfriend. So she done came home finally, because of course she helped with Parthena, but before that she was talking to Mo, who you could tell she liked. Oh, excuse me. Even her brother can see what it's hitting for. So anyway, he was asleep. She basically woke him up by opening the door, closing it, and all of that or whatever. And so he tried to figure out, what kept her out all night. And I feel like he kind of was like, oh, okay, Mo. First she said something about Parthena, but then she was like, oh, well, I was meeting up with Mo from the co-op, and I had these ideas that I wanted to run by her. I'm trying to figure out how I could execute them and all that. So it's like she was smooth with it. So, anyway, to make a long story short about this scene, she brought up how she wanted to do something in particular, and he came right on in. And I'm just like, girl, why wouldn't you utilize him in the beginning? It didn't even make no sense. With all the history that he knows about all of this stuff, as soon as he said the Gullah, as soon as he said Gullah, I said, oh, okay. So, he was telling her, you need to get like people who are trained in doing these specific type of tribal dances and all of that stuff. And she was just like she really had to sit back and was like, he was looking at her like, what? So she was like, you really are a nerd sometimes. And I'm like, girl, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for all of that. But anyway, so people are meeting up by the co-op. People are in their feelings about what happened to Parthena, and we end up seeing Billy taking charge of everything that's being said. And so she's encouraging everybody and letting them know that, we're going to do everything we need to do. And so they showing somebody in the background, and they really, really, really blurred out on purpose. And I'm like, that's got to be her husband. Because if it ain't her husband, then it must be that guy who rolled up on her. But it wasn't him, because they panned over on purpose to show him and various other people who are a part of the co-op. So she done made her speech. And so then when she turned around, eventually she notices her husband, Vincent, standing there. So her daddy, Prosper, is even shocked to see him. So he greets Prosper. Then he greets his wife. Excuse me, y'all. So they talking, and it's friendly at first because she trying to figure out how did he even find her. And so he was like, well, as I got closer to St. Joe, it started going spotty with the navigation. And, I ended up being able to find the house. When I made it to the house, somebody luckily was passing by in a pickup truck that was going to come here. So I followed them here. So they talking, trying to understand why she ain't been home in over 6 months. They have kids together, which are grown. They in college. And so she was just like, look, I'm trying to figure out what I want. I don't know what I'm coming back home to if I do come back to live with you. And so he was like, our kids. And so she was like, our kids are grown. They're in college. And he was like, well, me. And so she was like, look, I wasn't prepared to talk to you. I'm still not prepared to talk to you. Like, it went left. Like, they didn't get anywhere. She feels some type of way. And he is, like, desperately trying to understand why she even there. Because she talked all this talk about not liking where she came from, never brought the kids down there to see where she was from. But it's like, sir, you don't know everything that has been unearthed since she came back. You know what I'm saying? Everything initially, started out as taking care of her daddy because he was really sick and a lot of stuff was going on. But then she found herself again. She regained a friend that she had lost. And people who she thought she would never talk to again, that was like family to her back in the day, they are back close again. So, I mean, a lot of healing has happened, but he's not a part of it. And she might be done with him. Ain't no telling. But it is what it is. Nova is trying to get everybody together so that she can stage somewhat of a protest. And one of the women that she used to date, sleep with, whatever, have dealings with, popped up. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, for whatever reason, for what it's worth, whenever she calls her, she does show up and she can get people to show up. So she was like, look, I just need your help. And, I know you can get it going. And so she was like, just make sure you remember that you called me. It ain't the other way around. You needed me. I ain't called you like I needed you. So she was like, anyway, girl, come on here. So then, anyway, they doing what they doing. So then we see Prosper and his woman all bayed up in Vi's pies. And so they're talking about their past relationships, meaning their marriages. And so she had been with somebody for over 20 years. I guess he passed away. She said that he made her the woman that she is today. Prosper was talking about how he was with his wife. And yes, he did date after his wife passed away. But he found himself basically trying to compare the women to his wife, and so nothing really stuck. So then when COVID hit, he stopped talking to people, wasn't reaching out to nobody, but essentially he thanks God that COVID happened, because if COVID wouldn't have happened, he wouldn't have met her. So, wait a minute. Okay, I think this woman said, Prosper, you are the sky, and everything else that happens is just extra or something she said. I don't know. She did a lot. I was like, ma'am, you got to stop. So anyway, we now see like a little setup area where people can come and rent spaces. And so Ralph Angel is there talking to his ex yet again. Vi is there and she's with Darla. And so, Darla had called ahead. They're trying to get a space, and the way that they might be able to work it is with Vi having her stuff out there on display. And this is where she would start before she's able to, eventually go nationwide or go a little bit bigger than what she already has going on. So while she working it over there, he working it over there with the ex. And so he ended up finding out that, the ex, because of her mama needing a favor or is being owed a favor by somebody, they were going to give a discount for like 2 weeks for them to do whatever they were going to do over there. So they're going to set up something for the co-op. And I think that Vi is going to set up something at the same area, which makes sense. So it's like, you might as well feed them while you're preaching to them. That makes sense. So anyway, like, he's having a full-on conversation with his ex, right? Who, even though that's his boss, boy, the main thing is, this is your ex. So he over here talking about, well, I don't think that Darla understands the family business and how this goes and all this other stuff. And so the ex was like, hold on, let me stop you right there. Like, I don't think you should talk about stuff like this. I personally wouldn't even want my husband to be talking about me with another person in this way. And so he's still saying it over and over again. He was like, I get all that, but you understand me. Darla don't understand. And so Darla done rolled up with Vibe, was like, what is it that I don't understand, Ralph Angel? I was like, oh God. Oh no. So then, whoo, child. Back at the house, Darla is giving him the silent treatment. And Vi sitting up there eating her lasagna or whatever she eating, and it's like, ooh, child, because she saw it unfold in front of her face. Unless Hollywood is really trying to act oblivious to what happened, he don't know what's going on. So he's really the only one in the room who don't know what happened. And so he was like, well, what's going on? What's wrong? Because he started out and apologized for what he said. And so he was like, do I want to know? And so then he was like, look, I told somebody that Darla don't know about the family business. And I just told my ex about it because she understands. And so she was like, I do understand business. I do understand. I've been helping you for years to run the farm. And I've been helping your Aunt Vi with this. And the fact that he said any of this, when every time you turn around, so many of the venues and so much of the blueprint, all of the work that went into getting any of this stuff off the ground was Darla's idea. Boy, if you don't get out of here. Like, she had to read him. She was like, that was my idea. Like, if it wasn't for me, I called ahead. And got everything started. So I don't even, like, I'm just like, woo, girl, you better go off. And so she don't want to talk to him no more. She done got up from the table, and I'm like, girl, I'm here for it. I understand. It is what it is. So yeah, y'all, it's a lot. It is a lot. Hollywood went outside to go and give a beer to Ralph Angel, who was outside sulking in his feelings and all of that. And so he gonna say, I don't want to hear it, because it's like, you already know what's coming. You already know what's coming. So he was basically, Hollywood ignored him and was like, you knew you was wrong. You shouldn't have went to your ex, who is your boss, to talk about your wife behind her back. And so he was like, it ain't even like that. She married, I'm married. I was just venting, and she can understand what I'm going through because she is in the same predicament. And so he was like, that don't matter. You was wrong. And I'm like, you better read him. Then we ended up seeing Vi in the house. And she rolled up on Darla while Darla was washing the dishes. And so she said, Darla, dry your hands. I need you to dry your hands and take this money. And so she looked at her like, what are you talking about? She said, you came up with all these ideas. You are an excellent business partner. So she was like, business partner? She basically was telling her, you have done so much work without ever asking for a dime, and you deserve all this money I'm handing you and then some. And so she was like, I don't want your money. I like working for you. And she was like, I like you. I like you working with me. I love the ideas that you've been coming up with. And so she was like, well, obviously, Ralph Angel doesn't agree. And so she was like, it doesn't matter. You don't need his approval. You do know that you don't need his approval to be smart, right? And so it just got to a point where she was like, I want it. I want the validation. I want all these things. Even though I know I'm smart, I want to hear it from my husband at least. And so she was like, look, Darla, you are smart. You deserve this. You need to take this money. You came up with a business plan that I would have paid so much money for from somebody else. You came up with all these other ideas. And it's a farmer's market. I kept forgetting what it was, but it's a farmer's market that they're going to be in. And they're going to, put everything out there to get Vi started. And so she eventually took the money. It was a good moment. It was a really good moment. Nova is done with the little gathering that she had, and she's talking to her ex, Chantal. And so she was trying to figure out what all she had going on. And, is she really serious about the new person that she's with? And y'all know how she get. And I'm glad that the ex put it the way she put it, which was basically like, you get with somebody and you start acting completely different from what you need. It's like you get scared and you start pulling away from somebody when the situation is actually going the way that it should. So she was just like, look, I know how you operate. I've gone to therapy, so I know what it is that I see. And so it's like she kind of looked at her like, what? Oh, okay. Anyway, Dominic ended up coming in and she was like, weren't you leaving? Because they actually were in somewhat of a compromising position where I think he know that she used to deal with women and all this other stuff, but they weren't kissing or nothing like that, but they were like kind of like touching each other, you know what I'm saying? But, it wasn't like that. But still, it kind of gave him a reason to pause. And so she was like, weren't you leaving? She was like, no, I'm about to tell him all the things that he need to know about you. And so he was like, oh, in that case, you need to stay. So they about to start chopping it up. Micah and Kiki ended up catching up, and he feeling some type of way because people aren't really feeling some of his pictures that really show the Black struggle and the pain that we go through. And so he just got to the point where he was like, you know what, it's okay. He still ended up submitting one of the ones that was considered to be to Black History Month. And he gonna see where it go because he wants them to see things from his perspective and not just sit up here and just deal with it because he know that ain't what they want and he's just gonna get the people what they want and that's it. It's like, no, I want to be able to sell what I want you to see as well. I want to stand behind everything that I'm putting out there and selling, and I want it to mean something. So Kiki was like, I'm here for it. Do what you gonna do. So after a long day, we see Ralph Angel go in the house and he's now talking to his wife, Darla. Darla has the baby. That baby is so cute. Y'all, I'm sorry. But anyway, so they talking, and so she basically was like, look, I just want you to let me in. You never let me in. I just want you to let me in. Like, I don't have a problem with your ex. I'm not jealous of her. She's been really good to us. I just want you to let me in. So essentially, that's the problem. He's sitting up here going and telling everybody else about stuff, but then saying, "Oh, she don't understand." Okay, she would understand even more if you would open up to her instead of just bottling everything else up or just unleashing on everybody else but your own wife. You don't go to your ex and slash your boss and tell them what's going on. She was like, I'm gonna need you to come to me first. You know what I'm saying? She didn't say it like that. I'm just saying. But I like the fact that earlier in the episode, Hollywood had to explain to him that it's wrong of you to think that you as a man are just supposed to be holding your wife up. Y'all are supposed to hold each other up. But essentially, Darla has just been holding him up. He ain't been holding up his end of the bargain. And that's a problem. So now, hopefully, he will understand that he needs to take corrective measures. Get that right. So Nova and her man are about to go to bed, and so they're talking. He is going over the rehearsals and stuff that he did with the Gullah Gullah ring shout auditions and, just rehearsals. That's what they are, rehearsals. And so in typical Nova fashion, it's like she kind of slipped back into her old habits of just kind of like, oh, okay, I love that he talking about this, but let me just go into what I normally do, which is let me just start kissing on him. Let's go on ahead and lead the sex. It is what it is. So he wants to discuss what's going on. The last couple of days he's been feeling some type of way because he does not know if he knows her the way that he should. Is it a situation where because those two are women that they will know things about her or know or see sides of her that only they will see because they're women, or what? She told him that people normally learn her one side at a time or whatever, right? But he has seen all of her. He has learned all of her. I'm like, you don't win what? You don't win what? So she is really into him. Y'all already know some nasty things about to go down, so it is what it is.